Hi everyone, hi everyone, hi everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for our weekly track roundup, where I go over what I felt were the best, what were the worst tracks of this week. I apologize, there wasn't one of these segments last week. I was over at VidCon, didn't have the time to put one together once I got back, but now we're here. Hiatus is over. We're going to be giving you the best and worst tracks of the week. All the songs are linked down there in the description as usual. Recommendations galore. Of course, first, though, I have to shout out a few things before we get into the tracks. First, our sponsor, primo sponsor for this video, the good people over at SeatGeek. SeatGeek, if you did not know, they're an app that aggregates tickets to live events from all over the web, making purchasing simple. They put a 1 to 100 score on each ticket to let you know if you're getting a good or a bad deal. Green is good, red is bad. Their in-app view from Seat lets you see where you're going to be sitting once you've purchased your ticket. And enter code DROP at checkout to get $20 off once you've purchased the app and you've purchased your tickets. It's going to be your first order. You get that $20 off of. And yeah, that's it. Link down there in the description. Thank you very much again to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode of the weekly track roundup. And also I have to give a shout out to our Amazon Associates link. It's down there in the description as well. Click on it if you live in the US. Anything you buy off of Amazon, we get kickback from it. Does not add to your overall price, doesn't make your Amazon purchase more expensive. You use it to buy some stuff you were going to buy anyway. That also goes for the link down there to Turntable Lab. They're a fantastic website where you can buy, like some colorful pressings of records that I reviewed on my channel, audiophile, and, stereo equipment for the budding record collector and, vinyl snob. Which I myself am one too. So, you're here, you're in good company. So hit them up as well. Again, if you click that link over to Turntable Lab, anything you buy on the website and off of the page that it sends you to, we get kickback from it. Helps the channel, helps the show, all that stuff. And finally, I want to give a shout out to another link that I have down there in the description box. We have a new line of shirts on the website right now. They are Name Tano shirts. We have Senthany Pie Tano, Hairthany Line Tano, Flatthany Earth Tano, Popthany Quiz Tano, Don'tthany Unfollow. They're all there. They're all there. They're all here. It's a new Namethany shirt. It is down there in the description on the website, on the support page. It is available, international shipping as well. Unisex sizes, black shirt, white print, simple, straightforward, beautiful, sleek text on there. Very funny, good inside joke meme for the Needle Drop fans. Those are going to be available for probably the next month or so. So purchasing sooner rather than later is advised because, they are limited edition, just like every shirt that we put out on the website. And that's going to be it, okay? SeatGeek, Turntable Lab, Amazon link. Pick up one of those shirts if you want to support the show and get one of those limited edition shirts. And let's get into the worst tracks of the week. Oh my God, the worst tracks of the week. Okay, we're going to kick it off with, unfortunately, didn't want to throw this group in here, but I'm just so underwhelmed by this track. To be completely honest, the new Shabazz Palace's song, Effeminence. Shabazz Palace's at this point, there have been some songs from these two forthcoming albums because they're dropping 2 albums this year via Sub Pop Records. Some tracks have really kind of been hits for me. Others have been misses. This is one of those misses because it's just kind of like weird spacey hip hop navel gazing. There's nothing really all that significant about the track instrumentally. The flow and the vocal performance from Palacier Lazaro really just kind of left me cold. And I feel like topically, lyrically, what he's trying to get across in the track isn't anything altogether new. A lot of these same kind of shots and observations about music and art and the hip hop genre at large, I feel like he's kind of said again and again and again on previously released material. I'm just kind of failing to see what makes them special or all that intriguing here. And it's just kind of disappointing because Shabazz Palaces, they came out and they were one of the most unique hip-hop groups to hit at the moment that they dropped. And now it just kind of feels like they're kind of painting themselves into a corner a little bit. Despite the fact that their sound was so adventurous, they're just not venturing out of the little kind of trademark vibe and aesthetic that they created for themselves, or that Palacier created for the project itself. And I'm just kind of waiting for the project to kind of evolve past that or present something, you know, as radically new and exciting as Black Up. But, you know, I digress there. Moving on from there, the new Liam Gallagher song, Chinatown, unfortunately did not hit me as hard as Liam's past single. Really just kind of a middle-of-the-road acoustic ballad here with not a lot of passion, not a lot of flavor, not a lot of excitement. Hopefully, maybe it sounds a little bit better, a little bit more interesting within the context of the entire album that I'm sure he has coming out soon. Moving on from there, the new Desiigner song, Liife, featuring Gucci Mane. Desiigner essentially continues to sound just like Future in his songs. You know, sometimes he's not really on the Future train. Other times he very much obviously is. Gucci Mane feature on here is okay. But, you know, honestly, it really comes down to Desiigner here. And it comes down to the fact that there's just such a painful lack of vision and originality to a lot of his songs, to his style, to his whole aesthetic. And I'm just wondering how long he can continue to just drop these forgettable middle-of-the-road singles without actually releasing an album or like a definitive mixtape for us to just kind of like, bam, this is his sound, this is his style, this is what he is, and now we can like finally come to a conclusion as to whether or not we're really into Desiigner. At least I feel like people like me are sort of on that fence. I mean, there are countless others who have already made the decision like, okay, it's taking you too long. There are only maybe a couple of tracks that you've made that are mildly interesting. Panda is just kind of a bit of a one-hit wonder sort of fluke kind of situation. Like, where are we going from here? However, you know, while I have been disappointed again and again and again, I am still waiting. I am still just kind of here patiently sitting and just thinking, when are we going to hear that commitment, that full project commitment? And, you know, if they're going to be loaded with it, if whatever project is going to be loaded with tracks like this, it's going to be a bit of a downer. Moving on from there, an even bigger downer would be this new Azealia Banks track, Escapades. My God, the most horrible vocals I've heard on any Azealia Banks song ever. I don't really know if you could say anything else about it. Like, her singing on this track is horrendous, and there's no amount of vocal processing or anything that you could do to not make her vocals sound like Garbaggio on this track. I just don't know why she doesn't take singing lessons, you know? Or just like do another take, do another recording. The singing really is that awful. It's to the point where it's comedic. It's like, you know, the worst person who showed up at American Idol that day, like level of hilarity. And, you know, I'm just kind of wondering when she's either going to pack it in or really just buckle down and just be like, you know, okay, really, I'm going to come out with my best album. I'm actually going to care about the sound of my vocals. I'm actually going to care about the quality of the song, because that's the thing. You know, I just hear one Azealia Banks song or project after another, and it's just like, like there's some good ideas here, but I just kind of get the vibe that you don't really care and that you're just kind of going through the motions and doing this because you kind of can, and you're like this minor music celebrity, and someone will write about it, someone will make fun of it, someone will talk about it, and I guess that's true. I am. And finally, unfortunately, the new Arcade Fire song is in this section of the video. Signs of Life, yet another, in my opinion, disappointment from Arcade Fire, who continue to just undyingly just rocket forward into this, hey guys, we're going to do a disco album direction. And God, man, not only that, but they're just like trying to force these really eye-roll worthy, somewhat cringy political lyrics into nearly every single song that they're putting out here. So they're really trying to go super political, super conscious, but give you a dance record too, you know, a thinking person's dance record. And it's just such a lackluster combination. And not only that, but I just feel like Arcade Fire, they're not the best at making dance music. I mean, hey, I liked Reflector as a single, great single there, fantastic song, but, you know, for them to continue trying to hammer and push down this road and not really, in my opinion, having anything to show for it in terms of like, hey, wow, this is their best material, or wow, like good thing they went down this road because they're really kind of forging a new exciting direction here. I really don't feel like that's the case. It's just so wash, rinse, and repeat, like these dance music songs. There's nothing really that deep or that profound or that exciting about them, in my opinion. And this one is just as underwhelming as any of them that I've heard so far. But those were the worst tracks of the week. Let's get into the songs that I felt were just kind of, meh. I was a little on the fence with all of them, but certainly worth mentioning. Certainly artists who are worth highlighting here. Want to highlight the new St. Vincent song, St. Vincent, New York. Guys, listen, this is in the mess section. I don't think it's a terrible song, but I really wanted to love this song. I really wanted to be excited about this song. You always want to be excited about brand new St. Vincent, but this is such an underwhelming ballad. It's such a, it doesn't hit hard. The lyrics, I think, are a little melodramatic. They're a little like lovesick to the point where, like, I don't know, this feels a little cliche to me, and I feel like she's almost underwriting herself. Annie is kind of underwriting herself in terms of the lyrical quality here. And not only that, but I find the instrumental kind of bland. Of course, when I was digging into this track, I found out that Jack Antonoff of Bleachers fame produced this thing. So, of course it's going to have that kind of glitzy, sleek, almost 80s inspired kind of aesthetic and vibe to it. Unfortunately, I feel like it kind of takes away from St. Vincent more than it adds. While I do like Jack's production with Lorde, Lorde's latest record, I believe he's worked with Taylor Swift too. I think he's worked with Carly Rae Jepsen as well, if I'm not mistaken. Could be mistaken, but if I'm not mistaken. And I've enjoyed his production in other places. Not enjoying it here. To me, Annie St. Vincent has always been an artist that, sure, while she writes great ballads, she writes great tunes. She's always been an artist that no matter what direction she goes in, she has a little bit of an alternative and experimental and a bit of a, like a little bit of a left field edge to her. That doesn't come through on the song at all, unfortunately. The track just really kind of feels just kind of wishy-washy to me. But moving on from there, the new National song, Guilty Party. These new National tracks, while they're not in the best section in my opinion, they've been like a little impressive to me. I've been like, whoa, I'm not like listening to this and feeling like completely despondent and like I want to run away from my stereo right now. It's like especially on this track over here, I believe the pianos on this track are really rich. The ballad is very nice. Sure, it has the kind of same very gray, very kind of vibe to it, like most new National songs do. But I'm actually kind of liking the tunes that are hidden beyond the very dreary and despondent vibe that the National continue to bring in their music. So I'm just kind of sitting here and waiting to see if maybe the songs come together into a record I'm actually like super impressed with, because it's been a while since like maybe their first couple of records since I've really been down for a National album. But moving on from there, let's give a shout out to the new Mogwai song, Party in the Dark. They come through with a vocal-led track on this one, surprisingly. Mogwai, typically instrumental, typically a post-rock band, and still, I guess, in spirit on this song, a post-rock band. But the vocals on this one just kind of lead the way. I'm not going to say it's, reinventing their sound or making it all that electrifying or new or exciting or anything. And, I do think compositionally, the guitars could have been a little bit more intriguing, could have done a little bit more. But still, I think the band takes a risk on this track that for the most part pans out. It's a pretty decent song. And looking to see if on this forthcoming record, Mogwai continues to, forge ahead and experiment a little bit more, try some new things. And if you haven't listened to any Mogwai albums, please, for the love of God, listen to Young Team. Excellent record. Future has a few new tracks out, most notably the song with Chris Brown titled Pie, also one with YG titled Extra Love. Not going to say these are the best songs Future has ever released. However, I think these are two of his tightest and poppiest and most focused and most well-structured singles he's put out in a long time. Again, they're not entirely my vibe. Excuse me there. Screwed that up. I'm not going to say they're entirely my vibe, but I think Future doesn't just feel like he's just kind of washing and rinsing and repeating a little bit here. The guests on the tracks, have a good kind of feature spot carved out for both of them. I think they both add to the songs, especially YG on his feature. Again, it's not the greatest thing I've ever heard, but, certainly a refreshing and, again, a more structured and a more focused direction for Future. Hopefully he sort of continues to do that, because a lot of the time I just kind of feel like he just kind of grabs a random ass beat and just sort of does his little warbly auto-tune thing with little to no attention being paid to what he's saying or how he sounds. And if a song is a hit, then a song is a hit. If it's not, it's just going to kind of fall into the background because it all sounds mostly like background music anyway. These two songs over here, they very much sound like foreground music. You know, it sounds like he really kind of focused on these tracks, tried to build these tracks out to just be kind of well-groomed, radio-friendly, again, well-structured, and looking forward to him in the future possibly getting more ambitious in that regard. So that was surprisingly okay. And this new Deerhoof song over here, Deerhoof have a new track out titled I Will Spite Survive featuring Jenn Wasner of Y Oak. Now, this new single, this new track over here is a kind of interesting song for Deerhoof for numerous reasons. It's a very kind of clean, very pristine, very poppy track. Definitely not as rough and as distorted and as brittle as a lot of songs from the band's most recent record. And not only that, but there's a blatant political angle to the lyrics, sort of saying that with the powers that be trying to grind us into the ground with either pollution or stripping us of healthcare or so on and so forth, we're going to find a way to live anyway. So you're sort of surviving out of spite. That's the entire concept of the song, and it's actually pretty hilarious. So listen to the lyrics, pay attention to the lyrics. It is kind of funny. Jenn Wasner, I think, adds a lot to the track. Instrumentally, production-wise, I do think it is a little cleaner than I would like a Deerhoof song to be. It is a little poppier than I would like a Deerhoof song to be, and not kind of in a quirky sense, more like in a, wow, I think like almost like a mainstream rock fan could appreciate what the band is doing here on some level. Kind of that wild, idiosyncratic character that Deerhoof typically brings to the table. Not so much here. But I still think it's a solid tune, still think it's a decent tune, and shout out to Deerhoof for, putting this together and giving us some new material this year. Let's get into the tracks that I felt were the best tracks of the week. Woo, 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 woo. First off, let's give a shout out to, this first one's pretty funny. So, Ugly God. Much respect to Ugly God. Dude's a meme. I'm a meme too. Don't think that when I call people a meme, I'm insulting them. Your boy is a meme. Your melon is a meme. So I can't just call somebody else a meme and just inherently have that being shitting on them. Ugly God is a meme. I'm a meme too. Obviously Water, great track, and killed it on his XXL freshman freestyle. Happy for him to get on the cover. And, sort of wondering and waiting whether or not he's going to drop a tape or an album soon or something this year. I hope so. It would be awesome to sort of see him kind of transcend that meme status a little bit and sort of become a more legitimate artist. But this new single over here that he has out, Fuck Ugly God, is him recording and writing a literal diss track to himself. It's actually ingenious because nobody knows Ugly God's flaws better than Ugly God. And of course, the approach that he takes on this track while tearing himself a new one is utterly hilarious. And I don't really know what else to say beyond that. It's just kind of geniusly hilarious. It's completely hilarious. I love the lyrics. I love how wild and kind of crazy he sounds on the track. It really just kind of sounds like he's trying to go in on himself and really sort of like tear himself apart. I love it. Really energetic track. Lots of fun. Shout out to Ugly God. Moving on from there, Tyler, the Creator. He got into the best track section with Who Dat Boy? Who Dat Boy? And 911/Mr. Lonely. These two new singles from Tyler, they're excellent. They're like two of his best songs in a while. I do think some of the beat transitions on Who Dat Boy toward the end of the track were a little awkward, a little weird, but I still think this is one of his best songs in a long time. This is easily the most excited I've been about a Tyler single in, since Yonkers, since Wolf, honestly. So, let's get into a little bit of why here. Beat bangs. Beat is insane. Tyler, especially on 911/Mr. Lonely, seems like he's been working on his lyricism a little bit. Like there are actually some bars there that they're not blowing me away, but I actually feel like, whoa, I'm kind of actually like emotionally connecting here with what you're kind of putting out there. It doesn't just kind of feel like some weird, angry, bitter teenage angst sort of phase thing that you're going through, especially on Who Dat Boy, where he legitimately comes off angry, dark, villainous at a lot of points in the song. I'm kind of getting those real vibes of evil from him coming off that track, and I like that. That's obviously what Tyler has been implying a lot of the time with his music, but in my opinion has been falling so short of. Okay, and now here with his lyrics, with his flow, with his delivery, it finally feels like he's hitting that mark and he's hitting it hard. I've been sitting here a while thinking like, isn't Tyler going to put out music soon? Isn't there going to be a new album soon? Why is it taking so long? Why are we waiting so long? And now it just kind of feels like, okay, the wait sounds like right now it's becoming worth it. It sounds like you spent this time kind of honing your craft a little bit. It sounds like you spent this time kind of working on this. And I think the work is showing. I think the effort is showing, especially on these two new tracks. 911, obviously going into a different direction instrumentally, and sonically much more smooth, much more funky, strong synths on that track. Bit of an R&B vibe on there too, but Tyler pulls that off too with a really smooth, catchy flow. Definitely showing a little bit more versatility, because on his last record, Cherry Bomb, I remember some of those smoother, more soulful tracks that he was trying to pull off were really awkward and did not go over that well. Sounds like the exact opposite in this case. So, man, two great singles from Tyler here. All he needs to do is just sort of, deliver 10 to 12 other fantastic tracks, slap them on an album, and we've got a fantastic record. Actually, like, again, legit excited for what Tyler's doing here. It's really good. All right, Towkio has a new single out titled Drift, or Towkio, rather. Towkio has a new single out titled Drift. His Wave Theory mixtape that came out a little bit back, wasn't too crazy about it. Just kind of felt a little all over the place, but I'm kind of liking what he's doing on this track over here, even though the music video does look really silly and ridiculous. I do kind of like the way that he's like kind of fusing this hard, modern, banging, very aggressive hip hop with elements of like house and EDM music on the chorus, because this dance groove comes in that's like so invigorating and so fresh and so exciting. I'm not going to say that Towkio is like the most original or interesting artist I've come across or anything like that. I'm mostly enamored with kind of the hook and the instrumental here. Not to say it's all about the production. Certainly it seems like he had a hand in just kind of making sure like, hey, let's kind of go in this weird direction, or just kind of like bring these worlds together on a track very seamlessly that you don't typically get on a single track. I certainly can commend him for the single. Think it's a decent single, and looking forward to seeing if he has some other kind of weird, interesting genre fusions coming up in the future. So shout out to him for this cut over here, Drift. Again, Drift. Lunice has a fantastic new track out titled Distrust, featuring Denzel Curry, J.K. the Reaper, and Nell. This is a dark, grimy banger. Awesome verse from Denzel Curry. Shout out again to Denzel Curry for this great verse on this thing. Super dark, super grimy, super gritty. Make sure you get your ears on it. I want to give a shout out also to Liars for their track Cred, Woes. New album on the way. This track, it's not quite as darkly synthetic as many of the tracks off of Mess, or weird ambient spacey, very 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 subtle, like off of Wish You. I kind of like the way these two albums kind of complemented each other, and was wondering where the band would go next after that. This one over here kind of seems like they're going back into a little bit of a post-punk direction. A little bit of a post-punk direction with their sound. It's kind of low key, but I kind of like the oddity of it. It's very oddball. It's very kind of unsettling. It's very dark. I think the appeal of the track lies more in its vibe than it does, what it's doing with the beat, or what it's doing with the vocals or anything like that. The track's got like a strongly unsettling vibe about it that I like a lot, and just sort of looking to kind of see that, kind of develop and pan out on whatever record they have coming out with this weird. This is some weird ass art over here. Look at this shit. This is weird. All right, let's give a shout out to Kero Bonito for their brand new single Forever Summer Holiday, a bright, sunny, fun, quirky, silly, tongue-in-cheek track. Kero Bonito continues to kill it with the summer jams over here. Honestly, like, how can you have a whole summer go by without a new single from Kero Bonito? Because like their music is so perfect for the summer. Love that last record of theirs. Awesome record. You guys are the best. Keep killing it. Keep being sunny. Keep being, talking directly to Kero Bonito here. Keep being sunny. Keep bringing those smiley, glitzy, glamorous, multicolored vibes in your music, and it's just gonna continue to go, because you guys are just killing it. And next, I want to give a shout out finally to the track that Boris dropped this week, Memento Mori. There are 2 tracks out from this forthcoming record that they have on the way. Again, this track and all the others are linked down there in the description. This to me is a pretty interesting one for Boris in a while. As you may know, they've been dabbling in a lot of different sounds and a lot of different vibes over the past couple of years. A little bit of J-pop here, a little bit of sludge metal, a little bit of pop rock, They've been all over the place stylistically. This song, this new track over here, really goes into a direction and gives me a vibe from Boris that, I typically look for and I typically love in their music. It's super heavy, it's dense, it's menacing, but it's not just simply this foray into doom metal once again. This is like a really tortured, this is a really insane song, but there are just like some oddly melodic and harmonious moments in the track that are like strikingly beautiful. The band sort of does something that, in my opinion, I don't know if they've done this well on this track, or I don't know if they've done to this degree, sort of taking those heavy, menacing sounds that they're known for doing so well on a lot of their early work, and then combining that with some really beautiful and, again, harmonious and rich and smoother textures and tones to kind of like get this really weird, ugly, heavy, gorgeous beauty kind of dynamic going in the track that I think, juxtapose these 2 sounds, these 2 vibes kind of juxtaposing one another or off of one another. I don't know how to use that word properly right now really well. And that's going to be it, guys. Those are our best and worst tracks of the week. Again, all of those songs are linked down there in the description. Make sure, again, to hit up the good people over at SeatGeek because their app is good, and fantastic, and they sponsored this segment. Also hit up our Amazon Associates link, as I told you guys, our Turntable Lab link, and those shirts that I mentioned at the very, very start of the segment. They're right here, and they're on the website. Again, the link down there, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Hope you got some good recommendations out of this. Forever.